it does take a lot longer than anyone cares to admit. Whether it's just writing socials, whether it's doing the content system where you're doing your intro question, like the little quiz that you had at the beginning where it's like, okay, you got 30 minutes a week. It's like, okay, I challenge you guys, 30 minutes a week, take the thing, do a 10-minute recording, turn it into a transcript, and turn that into a blog and a social post. And like do that for 1 month. So 4 posts, really. And then see where your numbers are compared to the month before, right? It's you can see those early indicators month over month. However, in my opinion and experience, if you want to see real change, if you're starting a podcast, 3 years. Like you got to commit to 3 years, and you'll start to see things.
We are live. Hello, and welcome back to Tea Time with Tech Marketing Leaders. I got to tell you a little FYI, y'all. This is the last episode of this being called Tea Time with Tech Marketing Leaders. We are doing a rebrand. We are bringing the brands together from Tea Time and the podcast over to MKG, which is the brand that funds and makes Tea Time possible. And so we are now merging the two. And I'm so excited for where both of these brands are headed and how they're going to come together to support each other. And I can't wait to share that with you all. This will be the first episode after the live that actually gets rebranded, and you'll get a sneak peek into that once we bring Jonathan over to the website and across Transistor and all of the things. So stay tuned. It is coming. I know I promised that you might see it today, but it's not quite ready in my typical founder mind. I was like, yes, let's go. And the creative team was like, wait, not yet. So you're going to have to hang on just a little bit longer, but I promise you it will be worth it. I'm so excited for this show, not just because it's going to kick off the next generation of the podcast, but because this conversation is going to rock. It's going to hit hard. It's going to be awesome. Jonathan is our guest today, Jonathan Tasman, the growth engine behind City Innovations. As director of brand and growth marketing, Jonathan scaled 8 brands at once, building operating systems that fueled LinkedIn growth, launched multiple podcasts, and turned content into pipeline. If you're ready to learn how to scale smart without burning out, Jonathan has the blueprint. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here. And happy to be on the front end of the rebrand. That's great.
Yes, and even your colors and everything are like gonna tie right on in. It's gonna be
perfect.
It's like you knew. You were like,
it's like I knew. It's in the marketing ethos, and so we're just both tapped in. And it's like, oh yeah, let's do it.
This is gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Before we get into my questions, which I have a plethora of, I wanted to play a quick game to get our brains in motion. Are you ready for the rules?
Yes.
All right, Jonathan. Imagine you only have 30 minutes a week to market an entirely new brand. No team, no budget, just you. What's the one repeatable system you'd set up first and why?
30 minutes a week. That's not a lot of time.
Not.
Can you give me a little more detail? Like, what industry are we in? Is it business to business?
Things
business
that you
to
worked
consumer?
with. Yeah, okay. Whatever you're comfortable with. Yeah.
30 minutes a week. We're going to do a 10-minute rant, and then we're going to take the transcript and turn it into social and blog posts in less than 30 minutes. It's not going to be polished, but it's doable. Right. And it gives us some play across LinkedIn, website, and video all at the same time. So it won't be edited, but that's what we'll do.
I love it. And I think if you're founder led and you're trying to figure out social media, that is a wonderful tactic for you to take and just go say something smart into a camera and take the transcript. And there you go. You got 5 posts making it happen. I love it. Amazing. All right, Jonathan, if you've led growth for 8 brands at once, is that right? You had 8.
I lose count, but yeah, I think I want to say 8 is correct. I have to pull up my thing because it's when
We
you're
did the research. I just am dumbfounded by it. Like, oh my gosh, I have a few clients and it's not that many, and I'm having a hard enough time keeping those straight. So 8 just feels wow.
Yeah, it's a lot. Now, granted, I will say on the front end, like, not every brand gets all your attention. And, like,
Sure.
that just, I don't want to mislead people where everything got the same amount of attention and they all grew at the same rate, right? Like, because you're limited. Everyone's got 24 hours. So you don't have all the time in the world. But
That's true. What was the in terms of all that complexity and working with all those different brands, sounds like you sort of managed the time pretty well, but what was the biggest challenge in keeping all those balls in the air?
the biggest challenge, I could list off like 15 of them. The time management's the huge part of it, where it's like, okay, what are my due dates, and what are the KPIs for each of the different brands? Who's trying to grow what when? Some of the ways that it became easier is once we streamlined people's processes for the video, like we were doing video to podcast and then to shorts and then turning those into blogs. So like once we got clients onboarded and these brands that I was owning, it was a lot easier to make it streamlined so that the timelines were like, okay, these are the due dates here. And as everyone who's done marketing, like hiccups happen. People, editors don't get back to you, things don't get done, and you're like, oh, a guest falls through an hour before your show. Um,
Been there.
been there. All the things happen, and so you have to scramble. But if you can finesse your calendar well and know that each time that you're spinning up a brand or like focusing on a brand, you can have your process down, then it makes your life a lot easier. So
Yeah. Systems and processes, that's what I am here for that, and it definitely allows you to then take that same system and process if it worked for one client and move
yeah,
that over to others for sure. Are there any other challenges that before we move on to the next question, is there any other, like, across when you think about that's the beauty of working across a couple different brands, right? Is you can see sort of, trends and opportunities, but in terms of challenges, was there another any other trend? Time management, obviously. Anything else where you were like, "This is clearly a challenge in this area across all these clients?"
context switching. It's a hidden tax that I don't think. Well, I mean, until I was managing this level of this level of brands or grouping of brands, it's like you don't think about like, oh, if I switch tasks, it's okay. It's real quick, quote unquote. It's not real quick. You have to pick up where you left off. I've got post-it notes and like task journals for days over here, and you're like, which one was it on? I know that I'm missing something that's due next week. So even if you have your systems and processes, even if you have stuff rolling, you're like, oh, you got a random email from one of your brands and they're like, hey, this is urgent. And you're like, oh, and it throws whatever you were currently working on because you do know it's urgent. And then you
Yep.
have to drop everything and do it. The tax of context switching is insurmountable in some ways. So that is like one of the main challenges that I ran into.
Totally feel that. I feel like sometimes I starfish. I, like, start over here, and then I'm like, "Oh, yeah, but about this thing over here," and then I do that thing, and then I'm like, "Oh," and so I end up, like, working on 3 things that day, but not, like, sitting down on that one thing and getting it done. It's like, oh, like, you're just starfishing around. Um, oh my gosh, I totally feel that, and it is one of the biggest challenges. Well, welcome to agency life. It's why we've built
Yes.
a operating system to help us manage all of those things because those challenges are real. Those challenges are real. How do you decide which channels deserve focus when resources are spread across multiple ventures? Well, we kind of just touched on that in terms of you, but um, let's change the question more around uh, how you decide where to start with a brand. You know, you mentioned this great tactic of sort of one of your go-tos, but when you're looking at, do you always start there or does it really depend, and what does it depend on?
I do try to push people towards video, if because I'm mostly in business to business, and so a lot of their clients, the people that they want to talk to, are on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is huge right now for in the algorithm dispersing video better than text. And so getting people on camera talking about something that instantly gives you YouTube and LinkedIn. You can, if they have a TikTok or an Instagram, if they're also on there, just to have like more brand awareness. That one recording I can spread across minimum 4 channels, even more. When we take the transcript and we turn it into posts and whatever. So it's like video, and video is also a little harder to work with. So I do try to push people there. However, if they're in a more of a growth stage and the founder doesn't want to get on or something like that, I'll say, all right, well, then let's record some internal stuff so I can get the transcripts, because they're still the subject matter expert on whatever that is. And they know their customer best. So I still want to make my life easier by saying, all right, here's the transcript. We're going to turn it into some social posts and blog posts. And it's also research where it's like, oh, hey, they mentioned these 3 terms. Maybe I don't know what those are, but that's really big for their industry. And so I've got to go do a little research. But long question. I do try to start people on video if they're willing. And if they're not willing, then I still start them on video, just internal, like not released type content.
Yep. I do that as well. Yeah. If I can get my clients on camera, one of my clients just asked me, they're like, I know I need to do video. You've been screaming at me for months to do this thing. I've made time. Just tell me what you need every week. Just give me a list and I will go out in the neighborhood, because we do a lot of local marketing for him. And he's like, and I will shoot video of me walking around the neighborhood saying smart things. I just need to know what smart thing I'm saying. And I was like, I can do that. And then I have another client who's like, I don't have the time or energy to do these videos. And I was like, great. At the first 10 minutes of every one of our calls, I'm just going to ask you 3 things about the last week, and then I will take those stories and we will produce content based off of that. The transcripts are totally enough. And if you can get pictures, like I just say that to him. I'm like, can you just give me a picture of you playing baseball? Can I just have a picture of you with your daughter? Can I just have, and then he just flips me pictures, and that also gets it done. So yeah, I think there's lots of different ways to come at the content, and transcripts are amazing. And I will say, and I don't know how you feel about this, Jonathan, and then I'll get off my high horse. I'm just so passionate and excited about this. But I will say it's so important, because we have to say new things. Our clients have to say new things. It's not, with LLMs and the way AI works, like it's not enough to just do a bunch of research and pump out whatever they've said in the past, or even what the web is being scraped for. Like it has to be net new, and it's got to come from, to your point, the subject matter expert.
Yeah. And I want to just emphasize, you fitting it into the already calls you're having. That's why it's like, it's silly to not do video. You're already doing calls. You're already on just record them. Yep. Even if it's just like, hey, I'm recording this for internal purposes, and then use the transcript. Like that's the bare minimum, because we're just all on video all the time. So like, It's really not that big of a lift. Now, I know you see I've got these lights and things, doing a little bit of a bigger setup, and we can even adjust, like, I'm brighter, less bright. But you can do a big setup like that, or you can just do a video call and just grab that. And like, if that's where you have to start, that's fine.
It's great. It's great. You just need new smart things that come from you as the founder, who only know the material as well as you do.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. What does a brand operating system mean in practice?
How much time we got? So I would say brand operating system in practice is kind of what we touched on earlier, where you determine what are the systems and processes you need. Before that, well, let me pause for a second. Here's how I think about things. I start with, who's my client? What industry are they in? Who are they trying to talk to? So who's their ideal customer? And then I go, where's their ideal customer spending time? And oftentimes for me, it's on LinkedIn. So it's like, okay, they're on LinkedIn. This is a big channel for me. They're also looking for more information about their industry, their topic, whatever. So we could put stuff on the website for white papers and things. And then I work my way backwards with like a flow chart, basically, of where are they spending time? Who are they trying to talk to? And just map it out visually, because I'm a visual learner. That's where I start. And then from there, it's like, okay, I know that these are the channels that I want to focus on. What's the type of content that I kind of push on those channels? So, LinkedIn, it's carousels, just normal text. There's video. And then it's like, all right, how do I consolidate that stuff? Just like you said, where it's like, okay, I've got a meeting with them. they're not willing to do extra time for video, so like let's cram it into the meeting we have. Or can I just say, hey, let me pull out my phone and record us this meeting if we're in person at a lunch or something like that. And again, take the transcript and make my life easier to create a flywheel that's just like we can rinse and repeat. It's lower, or it's less of a burden for me to like ghostwrite all your stuff for you, because you're the subject matter expert. I want to hear you say it. And then I can literally just quote you in socials or carousels or whatever. But it's starting like, what's my end goal? What's my KPI? Is it leads? Is it awareness? Whatever. And then work my way backwards with a visual thing. And then from there, like, okay, what are the channels that I know that they already have platforms on? And then from, this is my playbook, folks. Like, feel free to take it. It's reusable. I used it on a bunch of different brands all at once, because once you start doing it, you're like, oh yeah, this is not that bad. Oh yeah, this is not, and you're just like rinse and repeat the same systems for all your folks, all your
It
brands.
builds on itself for sure. And as once you get the momentum going, you kind of need to get like a little bit of a backlog happening.
Oh,
And
100%.
then once you have that, it, to your point, it compounds and builds on itself for sure. Man, it's so hard when you get off track
Yes.
and then you got to build back. So definitely try, having a system process and staying ahead is absolutely crucial. Otherwise, you're like me, and at 11 o'clock at night, you're thinking of the craziest things to post on LinkedIn to wake up and only find that now it's got like 20 comments that you have to now respond to at 7 o'clock in the morning. So don't do that. Get ahead, make a plan, and iterate on it for sure.
Backlog is huge, though. I didn't mention that, but that's a huge, thank you for bringing that up, because I do that. Like, how can we get ahead? Let's get the next month, the next quarter planned out. And if something urgent comes up, you drop it in. That's fine. But like, you have your editorial, you have things planned out. The further ahead that I can plan, the happier that I am. Because when I'm like week by week, that's when you get stressed.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Absolutely brutal. Yeah, my team harps on me about I have tasks every week to get them specific things that are weeks out. So they're like, okay, what are the social posts that are going to be in 3 weeks? What's the newsletter that's going to be in 3 weeks? And if I miss that window, oh man, the dominoes effect is so real. So I love a backlog. It helps too, because if you do miss a week for like, because clients, founders are so busy, you are going to miss a week. And then that gives you that buffer for that to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
and
helpful.
another thing, another toolkit, or like piece of my toolkit, if folks are interested, is I like to batch things. So like, if I know that I am like my backlog, I'm using it up, I'm close to week, which is frustrating. It's like, all right, I need to just take the next hour and like, what are all my ideas? Let me outline them quick, and maybe not all the ideas, but like, 10 ideas, outline them, build them out, and then throw that into the backlog so that you can have something there. But like, batching stuff is like a game changer. It's like, okay, I'm going to work on just this for the next hour, and time boxing, like, huge.
If you're with us today, hanging out in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. We are watching, and we'll be sure to respond in real time as they come up. So Jonathan's clearly got the playbook. He's done this multiple times and in parallel. And so he clearly has this down to a fine science. So if you too want to figure out how to run these plays, be sure to pop in the comments and we will respond. If you're listening to this asynchronously, no problem. Same thing. Drop in the comments and we will follow up with you after the show. NBD, not a big deal. All right. How can you share how you built 6 executive LinkedIn profiles that actually drove revenue?
More systems and processes. Basically, I looked at each person as their different subject matter expert. I created this thing that I termed cascading social growth campaign. And so it was basically between the subject matter experts and the business pages we were working with. I had like, this is all again with video, right? So we have a studio that we partner with where we go in and we shoot content a couple times a month, if not more. So I had a bunch of video to work with. So this playbook can work for you if you just text, but like, I use video. That's just my early warning, I guess. But what I built is I'd have the business page post something, and then I would build out my schedule for the business page to own that as well. And then I'd have the first subject matter expert post a text. And then we had, I think, 15 videos, something like that, maybe 20. And so then it'd be a social post from them on video 1 and then social post on video 2. And I did it in 2-day increments because of how LinkedIn's algorithm works, where I didn't want to flood the market too much because I'm going to be using 6 professionals, personal LinkedIn's through a HubSpot on top of the business pages. So I'm about to flood the market with the same content over and over and over again. And I had some sort of forethought in like flooding the people that we were talking to. Like, all right, if you see this, you're gonna go, all right, I've seen this already. Or maybe it posted a few times and you hadn't seen it, which is what I really loved, because we saw a strong growth movement, probably like the first quarter of the way through the campaign, where I think it was like Professional 3, where they started to get a lot more comments because people were like, oh, hey, I've been seeing this around, but I didn't watch it yet. And these videos were 2 minutes at the most, right? Real short content to make sure that people have the ability to watch it. I'm not sending them a 27-minute, video about our stuff. It's just like identifying a problem with some sort of hook, giving them a meet afterward, and then a call to action, but across 20 different videos and 6 different profiles, plus our business pages in a properly scheduled, and this just gets ahead of it, right? Like, and you get to schedule it in HubSpot, make sure that everyone's voice sounds unique, for any of the ghostwriting that you have to do as well. But that's kind of how I broke it down, and it worked out swimmingly.
That is awesome, and clearly it worked out swimmingly. And this is coming up more and more. We're trying to figure out, even for myself, of the brand page side, there's sort of a debate, I guess, that's happening on LinkedIn of whether brand pages are even worth our time.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they are when you do it in conjunction with both. So, like, my plan, tell me if this is a good plan or not, Jonathan. So I don't shoot myself in the foot or do something that is going to take me forever and then not actually amount to anything. But my thinking is, with my MKG brand, since we're repositioning ourselves, is that the brand page and even the podcast page will do a good job of the actual branding side of giving tips and tricks and the value that we bring and who we are and all of that stuff. And then I was going to use my own personal brand as more of the behind the scenes of how, like, sort of that marketing in public of how we went and did all those things to sort of uncover for founders how I do this for clients over and over again, see how I'm doing it for myself. This is what it looks like. But I'm a little worried that I'm going to put all this energy and effort into these beautiful pieces of content, put it out onto a brand page,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody will see it.
That's a fair concern, because LinkedIn, at least at the last update that I read, they're still not giving as much push on the algorithm for those pages as much as they're doing for you and I, and then you and I if we're posting video, right? So I think that what you're gonna move towards makes sense to me. You still need to have some sort of presence, but as someone who's viewing LinkedIn and I scroll past and I go, oh, hey, Carrie posted this thing, let me go and read it. And then, oh, hey, she's doing this for her company. Let me go check out the company. So I do want somewhere to go. Oh, hey, this episode, oh, that's good. Let me go check it out. So I do want to have the ability to move to whatever the next stage or step is for myself as a viewer.
Yeah.
Assuming that the content's valuable for who I am and what I'm looking for. So I think that that's the right play.
That's the plan. We shall see. I'll also say, Christopher Penn, I've been talking about this a lot because, oh my gosh, talk about real value you're bringing into your audience. Holy smokes. But he just created the ultimate, what did he call it? Um, I don't know, go check it out. It's it's basically how LinkedIn has changed their algorithm and what to do about it.
Oh, I'm gonna need to read that.
Yeah, I'll link to it for you, but it's brilliant. But one of the things he talks about, and one of the things I went ahead and did is, and you did this too, and this is why this is such a great question, is it's so important to make sure that everybody's saying the same thing so that you're personal page is in line with all the content you're pushing, because those are signals to the algorithm now. Um, so it's very clear on who you're talking to, what value you bring, and what you're talking about, both on your profile page as well as in the content you're writing. And then linking that to your brand to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
So that consistent messaging is crucial nowadays, especially nowadays with the way the algorithm is shifted. So great examples of why and how to make that happen. I love it. You grew YouTube channels from scratch to tens of thousands of views. What made that work?
Yeah. So I like to say that I studied the algorithm because the way that I look at each of these different platforms is they're all kind of like their own puzzle. They're all their own game, and they have their own unique algorithms. And while they don't necessarily tell us what the ins and outs of those things are, because we would game them, I look at the people who are doing way better than me, and I look at their examples, and then I take that and use it as my my playbook, because I don't think that I need to be the pioneer in it when there's the Alex Ramosis and the Mr. Beasts and the Diary of the CEO, where it's like, hey, what patterns am I recognizing on their page between titles, between thumbnails, between their posting cadence, and then like, okay, great. How can I take that for whatever business I'm currently working with, and making sure, okay, hey, the shorts should look like this, or hey, the shorts should have thumbnails, or oh, not in this industry because no one cares. And just like spending time with the big dogs, if I can call them that, that are doing these like million plus, 15 million, 100, billion views, whatever, and taking what they're doing and going, okay, this is working for them. Let me try it. And also doing a bunch of A/B testing. Like that's, I think, slept on for YouTube right now, is people not doing A/B tests on thumbnails. Like
Yeah.
you can get way more click-through rate if you create even just 3 thumbnails. Some people that I've chatted with, I don't work with them, but they do upwards of 9 to 18 thumbnails because they're really just committed to growing their YouTube channel, because that's a really important channel for them. And if I had the resources, I'd do the same thing. I don't, so we do 3. But
Gotta start somewhere. It's better.
Yes.
3 is better than 1.
Yes. And even if you only have resources for 1, just make 1, because it's better than just posting your video and it's just the people sitting there. When we're scrolling YouTube, what I've found is we will pause, and I've done this for myself. I've asked other people, like, can I watch you scroll YouTube, right? Like direct research. They throw their eyes towards facial recognition, faces making like large emotive moments, because we're human. And when we see that, I got my attention. And then now you're looking at the thumbnail. And at least if there's some text on it, or it like catches your eye with the colors, depending on your industry again, like you'll go, oh, well, let me check it out, right? But it's the big face with the emotion on it that draws you in. And like, it's not every industry, it's not every niche, but like that is something I've seen work really, really well.
Dan Sanchez, who I need to get back on the show. We need to reschedule that, Dan, if you're listening. He talks a lot about this from a thumbnail perspective and how much time he spends just on the thumbnail is kind of intense, but it's because, for all the reasons you're saying, it pays off in dividends in terms of building an audience and the importance of that. So if you need another example of somebody who is trying to figure it out, he is definitely experimenting with some very interesting thumbnails. Dan Chez is his channel. Go look it up. I'll drop it in the comments later so you can check it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Dan's great. Dan, and he's like all into AI and how to use AI to help further things. So he's thinking very creatively in that regard too. Dan's great. He will come back on the show. We will make that happen. What's the difference between a content calendar and a true content system?
Oh, that's a great question. The difference between a content calendar and a content system. So I'd say a content calendar, if I'm going to like draw lines in the sand here, right? Content calendar would be simply my editorial calendar on a spreadsheet where it's like I post post number 1 on Monday, post number 2 on Tuesday, and that's and you just go down the list. And then for a content system, it would be, I like spreadsheets, but it would also be on a spreadsheet. However, this one would include the video, the SEO blog, like when are these posting? How am I going to chop this up? And I like to pare things down where once you have a blog, how can I chop that into multiple social posts to drive back to the blog? Or how can I link it between two things? Or how can I have the video pair with the blog and then link to it here? Like, where's the interconnection that I can create so that there is this synergy? Because you don't know where the attention's going to go. Hey, if Carrie comes on my page and she's looking at paragraph 3 and she notices something and she's go, oh, interesting, and there's a link there, she clicks it. But then the other 100 people don't. There's whatever paragraph 3 was about, hedgehogs and dogs. Carrie really loves that, and so she's like, oh, let me find a new outfit for my little hedgehog. And then everyone else is like, oh, I don't really care, and they scroll past it. Like, I've got Carrie hopefully in a buying sequence, and so it sends her over to a lead magnet or some other video or something else where I'm intentionally making sure that I am capturing my audience's attention, first off. Secondly, that I'm sending that attention somewhere. Because what I find a lot of times with companies is people will catch attention, but they don't end up sending it anywhere relevant, right? And so that ends up being a problem, because then you just have people frustrated where they were on your website looking for some sort of key information and they couldn't find it. So I'd say that that's kind of the separation between just a content calendar and a content system.
I love that, to make sure that everything is connected and so that you're sending people somewhere. I do think that's one of the challenges that we're having across the board of like, what's that conversion point and what do you send them to, and how do you, we just redid one of our newsletters because the click-through rate, the click to open rate tanked. And we were like, what happened here? And it's because we stopped having a clear call to action. And so we moved the newsletter around so that the call to action was actually at the top, and more of like the customer testimonials and all of that were at the top. And then the thinking parts were more at the bottom. So if they wanted to dig in and they wanted to learn more, then here's 2 blog posts that you could do that with. And so now we're seeing a much better click to open rate where people are actually picking up the phone and calling to book meetings. And so just by not only giving them a thing to do, but moving it to a more intentional spot, because attention spans, as we know, very limited these days, makes such a difference. I feel like we got worried about being salesy and about coming on too strong. And so we sort of forgot about actually bringing people along and giving them the next thing to go do. So yes, great reminder.
Yeah, watching your audience and knowing where they give attention, or where they're like the minimal attention they're giving. So like, to bring YouTube back up, there's a huge drop off rate in the first 30 seconds of every video. And if you don't catch them, then you're gone. But you have to take a step back. We were talking about thumbnails a minute ago. If they're scrolling for whatever topic, if you're not catching their attention, then they're not going to give it to you. Like, people know that they're spending attention subconsciously. There was a quote that I was reminded of recently from David Ogilvy, this world-renowned advertiser. And he said, when you write your headline, you spent, I think it was 80 or 90% of your advertising dollar. The same thing applies to YouTube. The same thing applies to LinkedIn, right? So your attention starts before they ever even get to your content.
Yes, absolutely. So feel that. For all of these things, we're talking about YouTube, we're talking about brand building, we're talking about content and the flywheel, which I love that term, by the way. I heard that from Andy Georginas not too long ago, and I was like, man, let's use that. But how are you measuring its impact? How do you know it's quote unquote working?
Yeah, I sift through heaps and heaps of data. So I talked about context switching earlier, right? And so something that I struggle with, or there's a tension, is I love sitting in the data, looking at the charts and going like, okay, because the data doesn't just blatantly tell you, hey, this is up because of these 3 reasons. Like, I wish it was that easy, but it's not. It's like, you're seeing an uptrend and you go, okay, what what happened, like where's the spike in the graph, what made that happen, and literally just having to sift through it. And I haven't, and if anyone in the any of the listeners know of a tool that's really good at analyzing data so I can speed up, like please let me know. But I have not found anything, so I still have to do it very much manually. And the thing about data is you're really just doing professional guessing. I'm just going to call it what it is, right? Like you're extrapolating based on data points. So you see the last week, the last month, the last 90 days, whatever, and you go, okay, what is this telling me? But then you have to go piece by piece, whether it's long form, shorts, if it's on LinkedIn, like, hey, this post had a video, it saw a spike. Maybe we do more of that. And so you have to just take the snapshot of data that you have and then extrapolate understanding first by synergizing, like, what do you know about the algorithm? Who is your audience? Is your reach big enough? Is it not big enough? And so like there's just so many complex moving parts to help discern, like, is this working? And then when you're across brands, and this is my attention part, because I'll flip through multiple sheets and then I'll go, wait a second, I'm on client B. Okay, I'm like mixing it. I just like sometimes have to shove the windows down because I'm like, all right, I'm getting distracted with multiple different charts. So focus in, what's going on, and also like what's their current goal. And so like then I can just measure what's the one goal that they're trying to reach right now. They're trying to go to their LinkedIn. Okay, great. So let's focus on LinkedIn. Let's focus on the content that we're making for LinkedIn, and then extrapolate from that data to make new decisions moving forward on that backlog that we're creating for the next month or next quarter or whatever.
It sounds like you're very much focused on the brand building side and the leading indicators versus the lagging ones. I just went through a whole lot of spreadsheets today on the lagging indicators because I was like, we just had an awesome month. Where did all this revenue come from? And it came from like months ago. And I was like, well, what were those? And right. And so that's a whole other different kind of ball game in terms of digging through
100%.
the data. But I love leading indicators. But I work with founders, and I had one founder actually tell me, I don't want those vanity metrics stuff. Like, don't talk
yes,
to
of
me
course.
about the clicks and the impressions and how many people are following my channel. I don't care. So how are you taking this information and bringing it internally to show your clients and the founders the value in those leading indicators? That's a tough job.
It's basically the whole job, because to your point, people are like, well, I don't want the vanity metrics. I want sales. And it's like, sure, businesses exist to make money. That's premise number one.
100%.
We don't have jobs if we don't have businesses that make money because they need the money to pay us our salaries. Okay, great. How do we get them more business? And it's like, well, who are they talking to, et cetera, all the stuff we covered. But to make sure that those leading indicators are driving towards sales, it has to link. It's that content system we talked about earlier. You need to let me either create or already have something that can lead them to the sales funnel. And I say sales funnel because it's the way that we talked about it for the last 10 years, 15 years. But honestly, when we're buying stuff today, like we're checking Amazon for pricing, we're looking at reviews on Yelp or whatever, and we're scattering our attention when we're in this buying motion. And it's not just us because we're smarter than the rest. Everybody does this. Everyone does this. So you need your pieces to be out there. And so what do you have to do? You have to take all that data in. You've got to weed out, like, okay, we've got 15 new followers and this, that, and the other, and like weed through the vanity metrics and find the story that is hidden in the data. And I say hidden because it's there in front of you. But again, you have to make connections between things. To me, it's just pattern recognition of like, okay, you've got lagging indicators. Hey, we have new revenue. Where did it come from? And you're following each trail back to when it started. Same thing with leading indicators. It's like, okay, we're seeing this influx. Oh, it's because last month I read something about YouTube updating their titles. And so like, I'm going to change the whole catalog's titles. And it's not sexy work. It's annoying. But like to do it, you make your brand that you're working on appear in more searches. And like, that's what they want. And then you go, hey, we've got 3 lead magnets on these videos and 4 of them on these. And then you say, I can prove in like Google Analytics or something similar that they came from YouTube and it's this video. And so like you have to dig into it though. And I haven't found a course from anybody, and I'm sure they're out there somewhere, but like I had to figure out and stumble through the darkness myself to figure out like how do I prove attribution of the sales that are coming in, where it's like I know that what we're doing is working, but I have to figure out how. So like 8 years ago I was like, I just have to live in this page and figure out like what does this data mean, how do I get around it, and then because you have to present the story to your stakeholders to prove like what you're doing is working to the question.
Yeah, it's a tough job for sure. I will say, once it starts working and the trust has been built, then founders are definitely like, cool, you got this. And then they can go work on other things. But you do need those leading indicators to start getting momentum. And then once you see those lagging indicators actually coming to fruition and you can map it back to the work you're doing, it is magical. And it's nice in the early days because you only have like a handful of like quality leads that you need to worry about. And so it is a little easier to like figure out the attribution. But it's definitely a balancing act, and the struggle
100%.
is real.
Building the trust is like the goal. And when you get that, your life it really does become easier.
It sounds like content is really the thing. Is that really the growth lever that delivers the fastest wins across your portfolio? Is that what you're saying?
Across the portfolio, most of what we focus on is content. And while we run some paid ads here and there, you and I were joking about it at the front end of the episode before we jumped on here, that not every business needs to do paid ads. And a lot of times with B2B, that's really you're not going to see a whole lot of ROI there. You'll literally see a better ROI getting at a trade show, going to a trade show, and it's going to cost you $80,000. But like going to a trade show and standing in front of your customers to go, hey, let's talk. And they can't really run away because they're in front of you. But we have ad blockers. Like it's not the best thing. So having these human interactions that people can view or participate in by being guests on podcasts, like that, I think is not going anywhere, even with the ability to generate with AI. Now, I have my speculations on people spinning up like their digital twin or their avatar or making a new avatar and then using that on podcast. Yeah, you're shaking your head. It's just like that stuff's coming. Because we're already seeing it on the fringes bleeding into the other parts of marketing and society and whatever. I have an acquaintance who's a therapist, and he has started seeing a married couple who the husband has an AI girlfriend for counseling. Like it's coming. Like this stuff's happening. It's wild. Just a little side tangent there.
It is wild. I wonder though, I guess my hope for the future, right? So somebody said this on one of my LinkedIn posts today that, the AI slop is sort of taking over. And I was like, I actually feel like it's doing the opposite. And I don't know if that's because I'm curating it out or if people are just realizing it's not working. And so they're abandoning it quicker. But I do think my positive outlook on this in hopes for humanity, so to speak, is that humanity will win. Like, I think there will be fringe cases and things will be tried. There are some really sad, hard stories about like teenagers, committing awful crimes and committing suicide because an AI essentially told them to after they've developed a relationship with them. There are those cases, and we are going to hear about that for now. But I do think that in the long run, we need as humans human connection. Yeah. And I think that is going to ultimately be what outwins and outlasts AI. AI will help us and the tooling will be good and it'll become the next calculator and it'll be great. But I think eventually, it's going to be human to human. It's got to be.
It circles back, right? Like anytime we have a disruptive tech that fluxes in the market and like floods into the market, that's what I wanted to say. It changes things, people get scared, and then we start adopting it. We go, oh, this isn't that bad. But also the tech gets smarter. Like this is the dumbest AI is ever going to be. Like it's never getting dumber than today. And then a year ago, like that was as dumb as it was ever going to be. And so like people are using it, to your point, I think, to help humanity in the long run. There are bad actors, and then there are also like outstanding circumstances where we trusted something that was still like, we'll call it in beta, right? Like I'd say societally, AI is still in beta, even though it's been around for 5 years or 4 years or whatever, publicly. But I'm in your boat. I think that it'll be. I have hope for the future. I think that the world. I think we megaphone a lot of the negatives all the time in the news and the media and everything, because that gets clicks, which leads to ad revenue, which leads to like businesses being able to fund themselves. Which we don't have to go down that tangent, but like we don't talk about all the good things, right? Like we don't talk about that. Your daughter just picked flowers yesterday, and like she handed them to a woman passing down the street because she thought it was fun, right? Like that's great, that's wonderful, that's part of society, but we don't report on those things. So
I will say that those stories do resonate on LinkedIn, and I am grateful for that. So LinkedIn, as much as you're changing your algorithm, keep those human stories going.
Yes, please.
I like them and appreciate them. I could talk to you all day, Jonathan. I didn't get through nearly as many questions as I had hoped. My last question for you is, you've done a lot of content building. You've done it across in multiple ways in terms of, giving us some great systems. Let's get real here for a second and talk about how long this stuff takes.
Oof.
Right? Is this quick wins? Are people going to be able to stand up some content and get going and start to see those lagging indicators? I mean, how long? You've done this across 8+ brands. In your experience, how long does it take to really start to A, get the system going, and B, to see the fruition of the revenue at the end of the rainbow?
It does take a lot longer than anyone cares to admit. Whether it's just writing socials, whether it's doing the content system where you're doing your intro question, like the little quiz that you had at the beginning, where it's like, okay, you got 30 minutes a week. It's like, okay, I challenge you guys, 30 minutes a week, take the thing, do a 10-minute recording, turn it into a transcript, and turn that into a blog and a social post, and like do that for 1 month. So 4 posts really, and then see where your numbers are compared to the month before, right? It's you can see those early indicators month over month. However, in my opinion and experience, if you want to see real change, if you're starting a podcast, 3 years, like you got to commit to 3 years, and you'll start to see things. Part of it's your learning. You just don't know yet, and that's okay. Like we didn't come out of the womb learning to swim. We had to go take lessons and figure it out. Like things take time. We just don't know what we don't know. But assume that whatever you're doing is going to take longer than you think, and then double that. But, and this is like hope for the future, if you want to speed the learning up, 10x your output. If you're doing 30 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, make it 3 hours a day. And like you will see a steeper growth quicker, partly because you're learning, partly because you're just changing your output, because your first 100 anything is going to suck. And you just have to accept that. It's okay. But like the fact that you're doing it is winning. That's really what it is. Even though it doesn't feel like that, because you're like, oh, I missed a period. I spelled this word wrong. Someone gave a negative comment. The video didn't do well. 0 likes, 0 views, whatever. That stuff's going to happen. And like, we've all been through it. If you make any sort of content or marketing, like we've all been to it. You mentioned earlier, you posted something, you're like, oh, well, it's working. So, but now I have to deviate my schedule and respond to all 20 comments. So that's my answer. It's going to take longer than you think, and then double that time. But you can speed it up by simply doing more reps quicker.
I think in my experience too, in doing more reps, I stumbled over more wins.
Yeah.
Right. So like I know now that if I post daily and I do one sort of off the cuff, usually the one off the cuff is the one that does the thing. But if I do one off the cuff, then that's the thing that I get my huge impression push for the week. But I have to do it daily. I have to be in practice, and I have to be thinking about, okay, well, these ones were off the cuff and they did well. So what would I say off the cuff today that might spark something? And getting in that rhythm and training your brain to think that way just builds the muscle to be able to then get, hopefully then I'll get 2 a week because I can think
Yeah.
more off the cuff a little bit more ahead of time because I'm starting to see the patterns of what's actually resonating.
And then after you do that for a month, you can take 30 minutes of the next month and look at all of the posts from last month and go, hey, here are my 4 off the cuff ones. Oh, it looks like I talked about my daughter and her school in half of them or whatever.
Right.
Let me do more of those topics because it's human, right? Like whatever those patterns are,
Yeah.
just as like another little tidbit for the listeners.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is a totally founder-led motion. This is perfect. This is where the podcast is headed, y'all. We're talking to founders. We want to give you the tips and tricks and tools to help you create your growth engine in the long run, a sustainable growth engine. That is our mission. That's what we want to do for you. This was amazing. What a great first episode. Jonathan, I could literally unpack this with you all day. I just want to give founders more and more and more, but I think this is enough to get them started. So we're going to let them
I think it's a good start. I'm flattered and humbled to be the first in the series. So thank you.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. I'm so excited. I love this. Um, where can people find you? They want to learn more. They want help creating their own content flywheel. How do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, check out my LinkedIn. It should be LinkedIn with whatever the URL stuff in the middle / Jonathan Tasman. My name will be on the show here. I think we'll probably drop a link as well somewhere. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me. I also, if you like nerd books, I run a nerd podcast called the Side Quest Book Club podcast. That's fun. That's just something I do as well. I also use my side project to test the algorithm. So like that's a fun tip and trick as well, where if you're doing something on the side, use it as a learning space because it's there. Like the algorithm's the same with your side thing as it is with your business thing. So
yes. And if you have deep interest and joy in it, it'll be so much easier. So I love that. Speaking of side projects and just joy in general outside of work, it is Q4, Jonathan. That happened.
Yes, it is.
What is currently in the insanity that Q4 always brings out, what is currently bringing you joy to keep you calm through the madness?
So I'm in the Midwest, and we have something in our city called Art Prize, and basically the whole city turns into a museum or like an art show for 3 weeks. And so my wife and I have gone out a couple times to just like check out the artists in like different restaurants or businesses will have made arrangements with the institution to host something for the 3 weeks. And you can just go around and see it. You vote on it. There's a prize or whatever. But that happens every fall is a lot of fun because you get to see mediums you didn't think of, people telling stories through their art you wouldn't have considered. There was one guy who saved like old lunchroom trays for like 40 years. He used to work at, I think it was Boeing, and he turned those lunchroom trays into a 7-foot tall haiku piece, but he made 7 of them. So like, and it's just in this building, and they're all painted on and whatever. His wife was happy to get those out of the garage, but stuff like that, right? Like you just you saved lunch trays so you could paint on them and like write a haiku in Japanese. Like that's cool. Like that's cool. Fun. Yeah. So it's stuff like that right now.
I love it. Amazing. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, Jonathan. I appreciate you. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share. We also have a few in the archives for you to check out. I had an episode with Dan Sanchez many moons ago on turning marketing into a system-driven machine. Like I said, I'm bringing Dan back on the show to talk about how he is incorporating AI into that. So stay tuned there. I also had a conversation with Valerie Zargarpur about positioning security startups in crowded markets, and my episode with Ann Gote from Dropzone AI on building pipeline with limited resources. Go check those out for some more tips and tricks. This episode was brought to you and powered by MKG Marketing. We manage the details, you capture the market. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next week.